Hey everyone, Board Game Brody here with Meeple Mountain. I have a brand new copy of Jurassic Parts, a dino fossil digging game by 25th Century Games. Jurassic Parts includes an area majority mechanic combined with an enclosure type mechanic mixed with a set collection to bring players together searching for specific dinosaur fossils to score points and win the game. The game is a great lightweight, small box game with amazing components and with a back and forth who's gonna take what mechanic, like a push and pull or a balance of where you use your chisels to cut and what fossils that you're going to go after. Anyways, here's the game setup. You can see that half of the tiles are turned up for you to see what fossils that you might want, but half are turned down so you don't really know what you might get with those. Everyone has a player aid card, and if you happen to get a hold of this promo here, you will also have this reference to collect even more fossils. So the set collection comes into play as you are trying to collect all the tiles to complete the entire dinosaur fossil to score the points shown next to each match. Of course, the tiles are all spread out because the relentless forces of geology and time have mixed up all the bones. Players will take turns placing their chisels on the board, breaking off pieces from the huge slab, and when an entire line of chisels causes a smaller piece of that slab to break off from the bigger piece, then the player who contributed the most chisels to that break will take half of the tiles that they broke off, rounding up, and then the next player will take half of what's remaining, rounded up, and so on. Players will choose the fossils that they're going after to complete an entire dinosaur fossil to gain the stated points on their reference card. Let's take a better look at how a turn might go, and turns go clockwise with each player going through these steps each time until all tiles on the big slab are taken. The first step is to sharpen 3 chisels, and you'll do this by taking 3 of the chisels from this side of your board and moving them to the other side. This might be the most forgotten step in the game, and players might tend to skip it and just take 3 chisels from the right side and just play them on the board. But you can hold over one of your chisels, not using them all in one turn, to hopefully help with strategy. So sometimes you might have 4 chisels or more if you take some bonus action. So it's easier to just follow this step and move 3 chisels over. The next step is to play your chisels. You'll be placing them between tiles, forming a break in the slab until a piece can be broken off all the way. Also, many players will be contributing to the same break to hopefully win the most tiles of the piece that gets broken off. But not all places that you place your chisel between the tiles cost the same. There are rocks on some edges that cause you to use an extra chisel, and 2 rocks will cause you to spend 2 additional chisels, more than the one that you placed. So this one costs 1 chisel to place, this one costs 2, and this one right here costs 3 because there is a rock on both sides of the tile. If you look at the board, you can see the rocks are randomly distributed, and your strategy should help you to know where you should put your chisels so that you can break off the best piece, being the most efficient. So you can play all your chisels onto the board, or you can decide to save 1 chisel to have a more powerful move next turn. So when breaking off pieces of the slab, some pieces might be small, maybe only 1 tile, or sometimes it might be a big piece. And half of a big piece is still a lot of fossils being discovered. After the players have chosen tiles from the piece that they've broken off, if there are any remaining, they will be given to the field leader. When you are collecting your tiles and you have enough tiles to complete the entire dinosaur fossil, you will place those tiles to the side to count as points later at the end of the game. And you will take 1 piece of amber from the field leader for completing an entire dinosaur. This also includes fulfilling a pterodactyl with just the 1 tile. So each completed dinosaur fossil will earn you 1 amber. Each tile has 2 letters that make it easier to figure out what dinosaur set it belongs to. There are also 3 piles of bones, which are wild cards, that can be used to fulfill or to substitute for any other 1 tile. There are also plant fossils that will score you points depending on how many you have at the end of the game, and the more that you have, the more points each one of those is worth. Players will be collecting tiles, forming fossils, and gaining amber, and this amber can be used on your turn to take bonus actions from the field leader. Your first purchase on each turn will cost you 1 amber, a second purchase will cost you 2, and a third purchase, again on the same turn, would cost you 3, and so on. And then your next turn, it'll start again for your first one costing 1, the second one 2, and the third one 3, and so on. You will choose which bonus to take and perform its action. These actions consist of ignoring rocks when you place your next 2 chisel placements, sharpening 2 chisels and adding them to the board in addition to your 3 normal ones, or you can take a tile from the slab, excluding one of the pile of bones tiles, or except if you're taking it and it would cause a split in the big slab. The last action that you can take is you can take any tile from the field leader to help you with your sets. I would recommend to take at least one of these per turn when you have a decent amount of amber, because if you wait, you will have a surplus of amber, and then you'll be paying 3 amber to do one of the actions, as you will need to keep using them to do something instead of just paying 1 to take the same action. In addition to these field leader bonus actions, each player will start the game off with 1 or 2 cards and be able to take advantage of something that another player won't be able to. These cards consist of bonuses that maybe give you more chisels or give you extra points at the end of the game for doing certain things, maybe peeking at face-down tiles on the board, relocating chisels already placed on the board, or receiving extra amber for completing certain things. As players play and take all their bonus actions and work heavy cutting this big slab of rock, eventually the slab gets smaller and smaller until all tiles are claimed. Players will count their points from their sets of completed dinosaur fossils, their plants, and they'll also score 1 point for each amber left over and 1 point for each tile awarded that doesn't complete an entire dinosaur fossil. The player with the most points wins the game. So the game is designed for players who like a quicker game. It doesn't take long to teach, and the star mechanic is the set collection aspect. And you'll be referencing your cards often to figure out what pieces of the dinosaur you need and checking to see if you can find it on the board, or maybe it's going to be harder to find because it's flipped face down. The set collection and the referencing does make you feel a little like you are a paleontologist, because you're trying to find the fossil to complete the dinosaur to score you those points. The amber in the game is good to use once a turn so that you can pay the minimum to get a bonus action, but then at the end of the game is when you really know what tiles you need to complete your sets. And also, it could do a huge deal with your final score to use a lot of amber at the end of the game. The chisel placement is different depending on the number of players that you have playing in the game. Like in a 2-player game, you might know that the other player is going to win the majority, so you just try to stick in at least 1 chisel in the line to let you take half of tiles left, but you never want to leave a section for just the other player, as they will score tons of tiles and you will get none. When you have 3, 4, or 5 players, you will then need to be more strategic in where you place your chisels. With these higher counts of players, there can be more of a battle for the majority. Also, players will try to be more sneaky, trying to pull off a huge chunk without too many other players adding on. The components of the game are great, nice thick tiles that look great when the dinosaur is complete. The amber is the perfect color and adds a little dexterity to the game, and it has a cool first player marker, and instead of just wood sticks, these pieces are shaped into chisels to bring the theme closer to the dig site. The game is mostly the same each time you play. Your cards that give you some bonus actions will be different each time, and the tiles will be randomly set out differently, and you can even create a different shape to the rock slab each time that you play. But the game is going to feel the same. You might have to adapt your strategy depending on those little things that change, but you're not going to have to relearn anything to play the game again. So grab your chisels and your hammers to get to work with your family and friends in Jurassic Parts by 25th Century Games. Again, this is Board Game Brody. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around and check out some other board game reviews to see what you might want to get to the table.